We're live. Blessings. I'm just trying to fix this light a little bit, but I'm not gonna trip. I'm back on YouTube live, and I'm over here on TikTok. I've been on TikTok. Today is I didn't count the days. Today is the second. It's 30. So one, two. Here's my 33rd day on TikTok. I did 50 days over here on YouTube, and today is my 33rd day on TikTok. The assignment is 365 live, and uh, before I left YouTube and came over to TikTok, my strategy was to talk about the promises of God because I am a woman of faith, I'm a woman of virtue, and I'm a woman on and with purpose. And I try to the best of my ability to listen to the voice of God so that I can move in that purpose. So to be consistent, because at first I was just kind of all over the place, and that may happen from time to time again. I'm gonna do the very best I can. So I'm gonna start by taking a deep breath. Because I'm back on two platforms. So it's different. I'm stretching. I feel the capacity stretching. But the promises of God, I'm here because I trust, I believe that the Bible is the inspired word of God and that it is full of promises for us. And it gives us examples of what it looks like to follow the promises. So I'm going to talk about the promises of God. I'm going to talk about principles that I use in order to stay aligned with the promises of God because principles are God's automation. You do certain things, he'll do certain things. There are certain principles that I try to align myself with so that I can stay aligned with God's promises for my life. And then there's always a process. What I have learned is that a lot of people didn't tell me, people don't talk about the process a lot. It's like they go from one place to then they end up in the next place. But there, and you hear about the process after the fact. Like you hear a lot of celebrities and people who are wildly successful talking about how the challenges that they went back in the day. Like Tyler Perry always talks about his stories. Oprah Winfrey talks about his stories. Like Kevin Hart. Like people talk about the things that they went through after the fact. But I don't hear many people talking about the challenges that they go through to get to where they're trying to get. That's winning. Winning is hard, right? Because it's not just one thing that you're trying to win. It's like in life. In order to do that, there's a lot of adjustments that's going to have to be made because we're rooted in what we're rooted in this world, and we want what we want. Our flesh wants what it wants. What we see, like the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life, it's all real. So, promises, principles, process. And then I'm going to talk about my faith because, again, I want to give things to talk about so that I'm not just on here talking. And so, about my faith because I am a woman of faith and I am on a faith walk. And how I stay focused because I'm a woman in this world, not of it. And like there are a lot of distractions for everybody, myself included, right? And the distractions can be whatever the distraction is for that particular moment. But how I stay focused because like it's my purpose to when I notice a distraction happening that I see something because I'm spiritual and I see tricks of the enemy, right? I see them. And when I see him, like I'm a woman, and so I feel the things that I feel like I process and get myself back on track. But I always like I have the strategy in place. So when I see some distractions happening, and I put myself in a position. I'm gonna talk about that tonight because I was in Vegas this past weekend. I had a date with Destiny, and and I was there for a particular reason. And because we were in Vegas, like a couple of the nights, the ladies we were there 3 nights, and it wasn't on my dime, right? Like there was a big companies that paid for us to be there, and so I was there to change my life, and I'm certain everybody was, but I was intentional, and I processed out loud at the table when they were like, "Pam, uh, you ain't never been to Vegas before. It's your birthday. Girl, we gotta walk the strip. We gotta walk the strip." Now, right before they asked me that, oh, I'm just gonna lean into it. But right before they said that, I was at the table. Like I didn't know anybody there, right? Like I met a bunch of people. But we're at the table and I'm looking around and thinking that I am. Thank you for joining. Who is that? Zen Faces. Y'all, thank you for coming on in. But right before they had mentioned right before they asked me to go walk the strip with them, I was like, okay, processing the fact that I had never been to Vegas and here I am in Vegas. And so what I learned, just thinking it through, I love nature. I love nature. I love God. I love the things that He created. I love His majesty and all of it. You know what I'm saying? Like some sunsets are just awe-stricken. Like I just have you in awe of the beauty, the majesty, the glory of God. Like to see His power displayed that can nobody do. Like I love that. And so in Vegas, first time there. Like you all, I've heard about like what in Vegas, but my experience is that there's not enough nature. Now I hear that there are other parts. There's a desert out there. I didn't go to that part. I was in Venetian, handling some business, but I had noticed and just I was making it work because I wanted to be real present. I made the awareness that this why I ain't never been because why ain't you never been to Vegas? Not just that I wasn't interested, it's specifically why I wasn't interested, because I love the majesty of God. And so right after I came to that conclusion and processed it out loud, one of the ladies was like, Pam, you gotta go with us on the strip. You gotta go with us on the strip. Now here I am in a conundrum, right? Because I'm thinking, okay, the ladies that invited me, we are in Vegas. I ain't never been. You an early person, you'll be able to get up, like you ain't going out drinking and stuff. So I sat with it. And so this is what alignment looks like for me. In my mind, I'm like, I had just processed the fact that um, I prefer. The reason I ain't never been to Vegas before is because I prefer the majesty and the glory and the splendor of God, right? And none of that's there. It's all buildings, it's lights flashing, action, right? It's all of that. Not to even add the fact that they call it Sin City. I ain't tripped, you know what I'm saying? Because I was there on business. But after weighing it through, like my mind was like, Pam, you can't go. You can't go. Like you, listen, you here, go and do it. But my soul, because I create space for the greater one in me. And when you create space for the greater one in you, He will speak to you and allow you to move in a direction that's most beneficial to your overall well-being. And the greater one in me said, you are here on business, focus. Blessings to you. Thank you so much, Ali. Good to see you. He said, you are here on purpose. Stay focused. And I heard it. I could have easily been like, I thought about it, going out. But none of that would have felt good to my soul. It would have literally been satisfying the flesh. And I'll be trying to be real spiritual, but yes, I do. Like we are spirit, mind, and body. And I don't want my flesh. I don't want my body running me. I'm the boss of my body. So I'm glad that the spirit that was an opportunity for me to process. Faith, focus. That's how I stay focused. This weekend on my diet, I was in Vegas and I did the very best I could. I ate mostly healthy. I ate mostly healthy because that's the option. I love you forever back. Thank you. Um, those are the options that I usually just try to choose better options. But people were there with cake businesses, and there was a lot of entrepreneurs there. And so I ended up eating a whole bunch of cake. But my justification was it was my birthday. I was in Vegas on my birthday. So all the cake businesses, what I realized is that all cake is not good. So I bit and didn't eat all of it. But I really did enjoy myself. And I felt, because I have been going live on TikTok, right? But I felt the obligation to come back and give YouTube something, because this is a big deal for me. It was a big deal for me. And my YouTube family is a part of my family. So this is why I want to do this live again tonight. At the end of, I got an opportunity to meet Mark Cuban. I got an opportunity to meet Robert Herjavec. Was in a room with Damon John. Tabitha Brown was an MC. It was Gary Vee was out there. It was amazing. Thank you. So that's right. Enjoy. Happy birthday. I did. I had an amazing time. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to recap and talk about what happened, because I went on what I call my date with destiny. I had a date with destiny this past weekend. I entered into this contest with Shark Tank and Clover and Tabitha Brown, the CEO. of Clover, and they had a contest for small business entrepreneurs. They wanted us to submit a video to them and tell them what we needed help with in our business without saying, it used to be a trend out there that said, tell me what you need without telling me what you need. So I submitted a video and I won a tab pass. So Tabitha Brown paid for me to stay in the Venetian for 3 nights. It was amazing. I had never been to Vegas before, and I'm standing in the Venetian, and I'm there to present, the system that I created, Start with Water. That's my gift. That's a gift that God has allowed me to birth, because when you create a space for intimacy with God, He lets your gifts be birthed through you. So I was there to present my gift to them, to present what I brought, my creation, to in a room with some great people. So it felt amazing. But at the end of it all, at the end of the weekend, because I got there Sunday, I left Wednesday morning, 3 nights was there. Power packed the whole time, some amazing connections. Some people I know I'm already connecting with them. I'm putting emails together to meet with, to connect with the other people, because like in my mind, I look through the, and I'm talking about my expectation, because my hope is great. I really, really hope in what God promised me, right? And so He's given me every reason to believe and to know that I could trust Him. But it do be a process. And when I went, I had read the confirmation email, and they talked about love you back. Thank you so much. I had read the confirmation email, and it talked about 3 entrepreneurs were going to get an opportunity to pitch before 3 sharks. Now I pitched for Shark Tank in May, and I was excited to be pitching in front of the producers. It wasn't even the sharks that I pitched in front of. They weren't even there. It was the producers in Kansas City, drove to Kansas City to pitch, and that was exciting. But to be in Las Vegas with the stage, the aesthetic of the Shark Tank, when we walked into the room, it was like walking through the tunnel on a Shark Tank. It was amazing. It was amazing. Like it was amazing. Like I had to take a moment to think about it. And so 3 entrepreneurs were gonna get an opportunity to pitch. And so in my mind, because I didn't see any further instructions, and it could have been my fault that I didn't read further enough. Thank you, Jay, for liking the live. But because there were 3 people, in my mind, I'm going on a date with destiny. I'm going on a date with destiny. My life about to change in some way, really in a big, big way. Because I know I'm one connection away. You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm putting this work out. I'm trusting God. He's leading me. I know that I'm one connection away, and I never being in that room. I'm like, oh, this the connection. So I went in. The first night I got there, I realized that they had already chosen their 3 people. So, Pam, you're not. So I had to tell myself, you're not about to pitch in front of the Sharks. But I couldn't tell myself that. That's what, in order to give myself some peace, I should have. I was like, Pam, just tell yourself that you're not doing it. But I met one of the guys. This is how I found out. We were talking. His name was Joshua. He got the same name as my son. But he said, I'm one of the ones that's pitching. And I said, me too. Like I when he said it, in the moment that he said it, I knew that he knew something that I didn't know. Oh, I don't like when that happens. Let me process that for a minute. Because I'm in a room with a few hundred people. Sharks. Barbara Cochran, Damon John, Mark Cuban was there. He's not a shark anymore. Robert Herjavec. I think that was it. Nope. What is his name? Just wait a minute. He actually invested in my. I'm gonna think of it, but some really, really big names, and I'm getting, and so I'm thinking, even if I'm not one of the ones that is picked, then I gotta create a space in here. I gotta create an opportunity for myself, because I'm in the room. Okay, Pam, your name is not on the program. It's fine. You will be okay. But you here. And I know that there is a light that God shines on me, in me, and through me. I know it to be true. And so I said, As opposed to going out on the strip, I ended up taking baths every night I was there. I brought Epsom salt, I brought Calgon, bath drops. I love a luxurious bath. The Venetian has an amazing tub. So as opposed to hanging out with the ladies, I decided to go take baths every night because I'm here to change my life. And the way you're gonna do that is by making connections in a significant way. Like I hadn't been to Vegas in my life before ever because I didn't want to go. If I had wanted to go, I would have been. So now that I'm here on somebody else's dime on business, I'm like, Pam, you're gonna maximize every opportunity. And I did. I got an opportunity to pitch to Tabitha Brown. It wasn't on the program, but I pulled up on her and she was there talking to people. Now Tabitha Brown does. She's very social. She's very friendly, Southern spirit, great energy. She was there just talking to the people. And I carry my system around, and my pillow, my system is a 9-pound pillow. It's very substantial. My hotel suite was a mile walk from the convention center. You know how I know? Because it takes me about 15 minutes to walk a mile. And it took me 15 minutes to walk at a fast pace to the convention center. And I had that 9-pound pillow. You know what I was thankful for? That me starting this journey, walking by faith, creating my great, fulfilling my purpose and destiny, starting it because I'm 56. I made 56 Monday. I was just thankful that I'm in enough shape. And this is to me what it's all about, because when we get ourselves in agreement, when we synchronize ourselves, right, with spirit, with mind, and with body, when we get ourselves in agreement, take the moments. This is why I try to share my process, and I hope I do okay. And it lands, right? We're going to figure it out. But this is why I share my process, because sometimes people we don't talk about the process. We're just supposed to get from point A to point B and keep going. And it was a real blow to my spirit when I realized in my mind, because again, I realized that somebody else had information in the room that we were both invited to. How did they get the information? Did they look a little bit further? Did they read the fine print? And I didn't. So that was a blow. It was do I want to say to my spirit, because that's the greater one in me, and the greater one in me always wants to be great, right? He always wants to be great, and he's always leading. So if I missed something, it wasn't him, it was me. At any rate, I had to process that and still try to, because the company that partnered with Shark Tank was Clover, and Clover, 4-leaf clover. And so one of their themes is create and make your own luck. And so I'm like, well, I'm gonna create some opportunities. Tabitha Brown was one. I actually had a video, and I got an opportunity to tell her about my system. And the thing that felt so good about it is because, like, I feel like I'm peddling pillows, but it really it helps you create the space. Most people believe that we were created for specific works. Do me a favor, if you believe that you were created for a specific work, let me know. For specific works, that the things that you love to do, that you're really, really good at, that they're gifts inside of you, and that if you had an opportunity and money was not an issue, that you would do those things for free. I believe those are gifts. I believe that those are things that we were created to do, and that if we yield to God, He will lead us and help us figure out what we need to do, the rooms we need to be in to monetize these gifts, to make these gifts as a service to the people, and the people pay us, and then God gets the glory. That's what I believe. And because I believe that is why I live the life that I live. But with most people, the majority of people do not tap into the thing that they were created to do. I didn't. Till I was 52 years old. You understand what I'm saying? And that was because I had a second failed marriage. And I said, I cannot keep doing this. I'm clearly doing this in my own strength, because I know that I'm clearly doing it in my own strength, right? And I don't want to keep making these mistakes. So I asked, but most people never figure it out. We end up working jobs that we can't stand. And that's not everybody, but a lot of people. We're struggling and soul sick in this world, that's for sure. That's for sure. And I attribute it to, because I'm aligned and I'm spiritual, and I understand the importance of all three being in agreement with one another. because that will put you in position for what God has for you. It'll put you in the right alignment, in the right place. And when we believe that we are created for specific works and we are not doing those things, and we're not living in our purpose, that affects our soul, because our soul knows what we're supposed to do. Our soul knows that. We don't know because we don't do soul work. And so we do what's most profitable, what's most comfortable, what's most accessible, what's not as hard, like we or what our parents led us to do. We do what we end up doing, but it's not necessarily what we were created to do. And if that is the case, I don't care even how profitable or how much money you make doing it, that still affects your soul in not a good way. Because your soul, like this, it's like, and I thought about this earlier, but it, it's like you identify into something, and not even sexual, like a tree trying to be a possum. You know what I'm saying? Like what you were created to do, or a plane trying to be a car. What you were created to do, you're supposed to do that. And if you're not in identifying as something else, and we can have a whole conversation with that, but you're not identifying with what God created you to be, there's some problems in your soul, period. And that's a lot of people. Anxiety is at an all-time high because you're anxious about what's going on, about what you know to be true. That's why sitting with ourselves is so hard, because it's some truths that we don't want to address. But we have to address all the truths. We have to address all the truths. I say that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And there is nothing that you can tell him or that you can express that will have him look at you any way but in love. There's nothing you can do to make God love you more or less. And Start with Water was designed to help you create the space to do soul work. I know people who are doing really, really well, and like financially. And here's my truth. I'm doing, I ain't gonna say worse than I've ever have, but I've been here before. I can say that. I've been here before. I didn't think I'd be back here at 56, but because I've been here before and I have to say it that way, that I know that I will survive. But this time, I did it. I wouldn't necessarily say by choice, but it was a choice to make a sacrifice. It was a choice this time. Like I had other options, and I choose to go through what's necessary to go through to get to, because anything that's worth having, you have to work for it. And if you have aspirations or dreams, not just to change the trajectory of your life, but your life and your family's life for the next few generations, for generations to come. And I say, once you tap into 3 generations, you in there. You understand what I'm saying? Because you just need systems in place in order to keep the money and the legacy flowing. And that's what I want to do, because God said it's possible. And because God said it's possible, I'm just going to try it. You understand what I'm saying? I had no idea the challenge that would come with it. But as my pastor would say, I'm out here now. I'm out here now. So I posted a video on YouTube yesterday. Yesterday was the final morning. I stayed there 3 nights. And Wednesday morning, all the festivities and everything was over. And my soul felt so heavy. There was a little disappointment. Full transparency here always. But there was a little disappointment because I didn't know that they had already chosen the 3 people, and I felt like I put myself in a disadvantage. And I never want to put myself in a disadvantage. The things ain't going to always go the way I expect for them to go. But I don't want it to be my fault. And I felt like it was. There was that. And so because I had not put myself in the best position, I was sad. I was like, if I'd have got an opportunity to pitch, then that would have changed this, right? They weren't giving deals. They did give cash though, but it would have helped. But it didn't happen. And so I had to sit with that. And I had to come back home and face the reality that it didn't change this particular weekend. That was what I was feeling yesterday. And I couldn't articulate what I was feeling when I was feeling it. I just put put the camera up. And if it had not been for my system, because my soul was so heavy, if it had not been for my system, I would not have even showed up in the presence to meet God. I wouldn't have done it because I was tired in my soul, and I just didn't. I felt like I didn't have anything. But what I told myself is, you got 5 minutes. I don't care how tired your soul is. Something good came out of it. You gonna sit and be thankful for something, is what I told myself. So I sat down. I recorded the video. It's on YouTube. And TikTok, if you want to see it, I am Pamela Denise on YouTube. But I recorded it, and it was raw. And I'm thinking, like, look, it's gonna be weird because I'm showing a lot of vulnerability there. I'm sad, and if you think about it, I had no real reason to be sad. But you can be sad and process the feelings and then get back to the gratitude a minute later. All the feelings are necessary. Sometimes we don't give ourselves grace and space to feel all the feelings. And you have to, because they're there to show you something. The feelings are there to show you. So when people cannot tap into their feelings, it's always a concern to me, because that means that they're carrying stuff that they shouldn't have to carry, because until you expose it and get it out of you and bring it to the light of the day, it can't be dealt with. If you're feeling it and not bringing it to the surface, it's festering in your soul. So I sat in a video, and I just did the system. I gave myself time to do the system. I took some deep breaths. Of course, I drank my water. I turned over the hourglass. Got 5 minutes from there. I read the scripture. There was no real enthusiasm or anything, but I did it. I read the scripture and I wrote down what I was thankful for. There were tears in my eyes. I was vulnerable and I could not explain it. So I felt an obligation to come back to YouTube, at least. Since I've been consistent on TikTok, I said I'm going to keep showing up here on TikTok. But I felt an obligation to come back to YouTube and process and share some of the process that I went through. And that's pretty much what I've done. Like, it's why I'm here. It's why I'm here to process these promises through these principles, right? And every day you're not gonna be feeling good. This is a walk of faith, right? But we are more than conquerors, and I know that. But I needed to give myself that moment to release the feelings that I had, and understand, because I'm gonna keep going. And I'm not gonna keep going just because I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going because I believe God, and you can be sad, process it, and still get back on it. So yeah, I'm thankful. So I did make now to the real gratitude, because I was grateful yesterday, but today, after sitting with it, I traveled all day yesterday. Let me tell you something. Um, I had a flight. I didn't get in until almost midnight last night, and my position, I'm just not in the greatest position. And my son had to work, so he was not able to come pick me up. So I called a friend. I called a friend of mine, long time friend. We went to grade school together, but we stayed in contact from time to time. And I was able to call him a couple days before, say, hey, I may need a ride home from the airport, from O'Hare. Nobody likes to go to O'Hare Airport. I may need a ride home, and it's at midnight. And I said, well, maybe, I could have called. Man, I could call an Uber. And he said, you called your Uber. So he picked me up. But I was really thankful for that, because I've been so focused on the assignment. I haven't given myself space or grace to even consider dating or any of that. It's like, and I got it. I think I got it. The mosquito. But I got it. I think it's a flip side. But at any rate, I haven't given myself the grace or space. But God always gives you what you need when you need it. Like when I say that he a good friend, and like somebody who I love dearly, and every woman needs a friend that does not have an ulterior motive. And I'm not gonna say, listen, I'm old enough and I'm smart enough to say that then I wouldn't be surprised if he loved me, loved me. I know he loves me as a friend, but I wouldn't be surprised if he may begin to see me differently, or if he hasn't always seen me differently. Just because I hadn't seen him, I wouldn't be surprised, right? But that doesn't mean that that's an ulterior motive. Like, that is motive. I'm a beautiful woman, and I'm a major catch, and we're friends, and he knows that I'm a solid person. You understand what I'm saying? So that wouldn't be super surprising, because my eyes are open to seeing him differently. Not tripping, not moving on it, but it's just dope. It's dope to have a friend that does not have an ulterior motive, that's a male, that you can call and that you know got you. It's amazing. Thankful for that, because hadn't even really realized it that I had it. But when I got home and I got an opportunity to think about, when I got home and I got an opportunity to think about, blessings to you, Jim. Good to see you here. When I got home, I want you to check this live out. Run it back if you get an opportunity, because I just got back from a date with Destiny, and it was pretty amazing. But after I got an opportunity to process all that happened, I made some incredible connections while I was there. The first one, again, I pitched Tabitha Brown. I got an opportunity to have a face-to-face, tell her about my system, and she said, I love it. No different than what everybody says. So here's the thing. It'd be different if only Tab said that she loved it. Everybody who I get an opportunity to share with, that's why I want to pitch in front of somebody who can give me a deal, because, and it's not too late, because I made a couple incredible connections. So we connected on LinkedIn, Instagram, and one of the people said that they love the one-on-one connection. He said, like, I'm not gonna respond to everybody, but I love the fact that we got people that are close to us. And so there's major connection. Yeah, they from the south side of Chicago, me too, and not just the south side of Chicago, in the same neighborhood. I grew up in Auburn, Gresham, and so, I made some amazing connections in that room. So after I had to get that weight off me yesterday, I let it go, and I'm thankful for a space. I'm thankful for a space that I don't always have to show up and be like, everything's okay, because everything is not always okay, but it is always well with my soul. When my soul gets sick, we deal with that, because that is the one thing that I've got control of, because God said that if you inhabit the praise, he inhabits the praises of his people. So when we praise him, he will show up. When we yield space to him, he will take up space in our life. So we don't get what we want, we get what we create, and we create it by putting ourselves in alignment and in position for what God has already planned for our life, instead of trying to figure out what we want to do and do that. Figure out what he wanted done and then do it, and we'll be better off for it. Y'all, thank you for joining me tonight. This is a good live. I'm thankful I'm back on 2 platforms tonight. But again, I wanted to process, and I felt like I wanted to share that with YouTube, because I got on here and just shared a vulnerable moment and didn't give context to it, because I didn't have context to it at the time, but I have context to it now. And since this is a journey 365 live, and I will be live every day, don't know where. Currently, it will be on TikTok. TikTok didn't really do. TikTok was real slow for me tonight, but it's cool, because I'm gonna be here. 365 live after 50 days, and I may move around. I may join platforms. I don't know, but God is doing something amazing. He told me to document it, and so I'd encourage you to stay tuned, because this is the process of me getting to it. I started by saying that most people share the testimony after they made it through, because while we're going through, it be so hard. Like, it be hard. If you are trying to accomplish anything great in life, it will be hard. So I'm going to say, strive for, try to create your greatest existence possible, because life gonna be hard anyway. It might as well be hard that you are willing to know that you're gonna get something on the other side. God's promises. So that's it. I want to end with the saying, with not just a saying. Like, I want to end with a roadmap that I use to get me through. God says that he inhabits the praise of his people. And when his people praise him, he shows up. And in his presence, there is fullness of joy. And that the joy of the Lord is our strength. So what that's saying is that if we're having challenging times, praise God, worship him. Because whenever God enters into a place, the place gets better. If it was bad, it'll get good. If it was good, it'll get good, right? So worship God and he will show up. And in his presence is fullness of joy. That means that God brings joy. Joy comes from God, not from circumstances and situations. So you worship God, you're going to have joy in your soul because your soul is singing out to God and there is joy in that. And joy, the joy of the Lord is your strength. So whereas before you would maybe head bowed, hung a little low, weary, tired, at the end of the rope again, yet again. You worship God. So on that note, I like to say that if you are struggling, know that God inhabits the praises of his people. And in his presence, there is fullness of joy. And the joy of the Lord will be your strength. Until next time, y'all. Peace. Be multiplied.